Are you rested up from our time at the ASCA conference?
I am in a way. I went from one conference to some personal time off and then to another conference. So I literally have been back in my house for about 36 hours now. I got to go to the Achieving the
Oh,
Dream conference in Portland, Oregon.
oh, nice. How was that?
It was amazing, inspiring. I think just like any higher education conference, it was very student centered. So you come back energized and ready to dive into the last half of the semester.
Nice.
Are you
And,
rested up from your time at the conference?
sort of. I also had to hit the road. My family was here for a family funeral, which was a wonderful celebration of life and an awakening that my siblings and I and our cousins are now the senior generation in our family.
Wow. So are you the matriarch?
No, I'm one of the younger ones. Can't you tell?
I was going to say, you're too young to be a matriarch, but
There's
good for
a
you if you can pull it off.
It's funny, there's a broad range of all the cousins and people that I thought they're grown-ups when I was little, and now when we all posed for the generations picture, uh, I felt really bonded with them. So we were racing against the winter storm that hit after the conference, and I admit I was sort of hoping my siblings would get snowed in because I really enjoyed time with them. And I brought home the coveted Shaw Dominoes Tournament Cup, so the trophy now
Oh.
sits on my mantle.
I also
Yeah.
had sibling bonding time. My brother and I went to see my dad in Florida, and we got a little VRBO with my aunt. So we had a 4 day
Oh,
party. It was fun.
nice. Well, I still feel like ASCA is like hot in my blood. Like that was
Yeah.
such a great experience. Man, I felt creatively inspired when we got back.
I have to say, I have never been to a student conduct conference, and it was not what I was expecting in all the amazing and good ways.
Say more about that.
I don't know what I thought, but I loved the sense of community and the energy. Love seeing so many credentialed people doing all the good work, and the fashion was fantastic. I feel like this generation of higher education folks is bringing it. So I don't know if that's a generational thing or a TikTok thing, but it was fun to see.
The first time I went to a conduct conference, I'm like, this is really different than the generalist conferences. And we celebrated our 1000th download of the Misbehavior podcast while we were there.
Amazing.
Yep. If you were not at the conference, folks, we really thank you. We would love your help just spreading the word because every person we met was so amazing. We just want to find more people like you all who love talking about this stuff. So if you can comment, share a story, share a wacky idea, it really does help us find people like you all. But that was a really cool milestone to hit while we were in Arlington.
And it was fun getting to hang out with you. I enjoy the virtual, but in person, completely different experience.
I know, 3D. Oh, Kurt, I miss you. And for listeners at the headquarters, when we went home one night, I got to see Kurt leading his nonprofit that he talks about on this show. And Kurt, it was just seeing you lead with kindness and structure and confidence and like I
Thank
just
you.
it was such a pleasure to like get to see you in your natural habitat.
That is very kind. Yes. The business
Yeah.
continues all the time, no matter where we are, thanks to
Yes.
technology.
So a couple ideas. I think I may have texted you one. I had the idea on the way back of hosting misbehavior meetups and maybe like a Ms. Be Happy hour
I love it.
over Zoom to just connect with folks as people. So I'd love some feedback on that from listeners. Or is once a week enough misbehavior for you all?
It's not enough for me, I will say. One of the things I do kind of miss, if we can miss things about COVID era, those happy hour meetups were kind of fun. I kind of miss doing those. They were a good time.
Me too. And it could be a coffee hour.
Whatever you want in your mug.
Love to hear ideas about that. And I think I've talked to you about the idea. One of my favorite sessions every year at the ASCA conference is the dissertation of the year. I love seeing people's scholarship, and I wondered if we might host summer book club with dissertations as the book.
I love that idea. I don't do a lot of academic reading, but I do have a little side hustle of editing dissertations, and I love reading emerging work, and because you get the scholarly content from your peers, but you also get a full like book list at the end in the reference section of articles and books that are important right now. So I love this idea.
I think it could be really fun. If you are writing your dissertation and interested in letting us help you spread the word about important things that you're learning for our field, let us know because I could totally nerd out over some
Hmm.
good thesis
Yeah,
writing. Woo.
absolutely.
So one of the low lights, unfortunately, it was very humbling at the end of the conference, sitting in the hotel and realizing some of the footage from the many interviews that we did with folks was rough. The misbehavior budget is low. It could be our cheap microphones or just we were in such a prime location that the conference gave us to interview people. It may have just been too noisy for the tech.
I know, and we spent so much time, and I just think of all of the amazing conversations we had, and I'm so thankful. I know you spent so much time pulling audio out and cleaning it up. So I haven't seen it yet. I'm excited to see what survived the cutting room floor.
Yeah, I now that I've had a week, I probably put at least 20 hours into trying to find 15 minutes of
Oh my gosh.
usable footage. If you're listening, give us some grace, or you can turn it off if it's just too hard to listen to. But we've got some really cool stuff to share, and it's gonna be a little rocky. Uh, let's launch right into showing some of this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The first thing is we wanted to hear from folks what their favorite parts of the conference happen to be. And we've got Becca Brummels from Ferris State, Samantha Collette from Framingham, Danny Foster from the University of Cincinnati, Cecilia Dockery. That was really fun to talk to her from the Cleary Center. And she really changed how I feel about Cleary. So, Cecilia, if you're listening, you did your job. And one of my favorites, Tony Miller, because he's a monarch from Old Dominion. So let's hear from them about their favorite parts of the conference.
Nancy, well, what's been your favorite part of the conference so far?
I just love hearing different programs that other schools are using that we can implement to help our students to be successful, support them, and make sure they get to graduation.
Have you had a favorite session so far?
I would say I just got out of how the RA training, so how we can get our RAs trained to be more supportive to those who are going through the process.
Oh my goodness, I loved the keynote conversation last night. I think teacher tire. It's just the coolest.
I love connecting with people. We see everybody on Zoom all the time, and just being able to be here and meet people in person. This is our first time to meet in person, even after working together. And so I think that's my favorite part, but also just being able to pick people's brains and say, hey, I wonder about this. And having people just go into their little rabbit hole and say, I know all about that. Let me tell you about it. I think that's phenomenal.
Just on talking with people and connecting with everyone, and just hearing about what they're doing on their campuses, working for a nonprofit, like it's helpful to keep up with kind of what the best practices are, what everyone's doing, and how we can best support everyone. So it's just really great to connect with everyone and hear how things are going and what we can help them.
I think my favorite thing has been coming to the conferences and being the next colleague, but more importantly, the younger, the newer professionals, it's really the most fun part.
I don't think I noticed that Tony, when he was talking, was holding up the misbehavior sticker. Good branding.
I love it.
Product
He's
placement.
promoting us left and right. The thing that sticks out for me with this group is immediately just the positivity and the energy and the excitement. And I think that that is a perfect encapsulation of the time that we spent there. That was what it was like, the pep and the excitement to learn and build community together. It was so cool.
It was. And it really made me think about what Dr. Miller said about the young and the old together in these spaces, passing on knowledge, but also the younger folks are the ones that are getting the freshest information from our scholars at universities. So I just don't want to undervalue how much we can learn from them.
I think also about just how much the profession, from my perspective as sort of an outsider, has shifted over the past 2 decades. And to me, that has to be a factor of what this generation brings to the table. I think back to when I was doing student conduct, it was kind of a little bit myopic, and it was focused on addressing the behavior and less on considering the whole student and their experience. And I feel like every conversation we had was about the whole student.
It was. The next thing we transitioned into, I heard common themes among people about tips for getting the most out of these experiences. I think on our very first podcast, we talked about the importance of professional development, trying to find creative ways to get involved. So Dr. Andre Clanton talked about regional work, as did Dr. Annie Malarkey Sawa. They are leaders among their geographic regions. So I want to play them. We had a first timer, Travion Burks, who just was so excited to network with new people. We had a couple of the grad interns, the Bracewell interns who work with ASCA, Nick and Mary, and the president of ASCA. So that's the young and the seasoned coming together. So let's launch that and listen to them.
I'm enjoying this, so we meet today, and we just get to talk to colleagues that are my area, folks that I can reach out to for support, and particularly diversity and development, coming together and making some plans on how we can support one another in our region.
It's just a great space to interact and be supported by people. Really understand what we're doing because people don't get it, right? The importance, the impact that you're having students as well as the stress, like we sometimes carry. So it's a great space to get supported, embraced, understood, and to get feedback from other people who experience any days.
One thing that I have been doing is networking. I have been attending a lot of different sessions that not only would be beneficial for my institution, but were beneficial for myself. If you plan on studying higher education or any type of career in education, you have to know how to network and you have to find time to professional growth. So I'm looking at things that can help me potentially grow more in my position or any other position that I try to take up.
I'm a first-time attendee, so taking advantage of all the opportunities, going to the first-time attendee session, having them explain how to network, right? Because I've done it a little bit, but giving those tips and tricks have been really helpful for me.
I'm a first-time attendee, and I'm also assisting on one of the Bracewell conference interns for ASCA this year. So great. I'm supporting the committee with doing marketing tasks and helping the registration desk and welcoming people to the conference and answering questions and also going to sessions and learning how to enhance my professional
Love it. There are plenty of opportunities for meeting in the association. Right now, in February, we're wrapping up at the tail end of the volunteer leader cycle. Applications for committee chairs, community practice chairs are going to come out in March. So keep an eye on the association update on Thursdays, and you'll see that those applications are released. Go ahead and apply. Anyone is welcome. It doesn't matter if you just joined the association yesterday. We welcome your involvement.
Oh man! Wow.
I've stolen that soundbite from Andre. I'm going to use that all the time in our
I
podcast.
love it. It's such a great punctuation. Did you interview Brian after I left?
I did. We were sitting there while people were wheeling out their suitcases. He's just been anointed as our new president, and I've already seen him at every meeting I've been at, going out, getting feedback from folks about the organizational experience. So it's been great.
That's great leadership. I love that.
Yeah.
I also I love seeing Travion on there. We bonded over coffee in the cafe area, and he gave me an assignment that I have not fulfilled yet, which was to go to Seven Brew and get a pecan coffee. So that is on my to-do list for this week.
You'll have to report back. I love Travion's enthusiasm and just jumping right in. While we were sitting at our table, we met a colleague named Jessica Puerta. And I've actually put her entire interview in here. It's a few minutes long, but your conversation with her was really eye-opening just about the specialty of the work people do in community college spaces.
Yes.
It almost felt like you had some connections that just felt really cool. Let's let people listen to that.
So we're here at the ASCA conference, and could you introduce yourself? Tell us who you are and what school you're with.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, my name is Jessica Puerta. You can call me Jessie. I'm pronounced she, her, ella. And I serve as Director of Federal Responsibilities at SUNY Westchester Community College.
Fun fact, we just found that we have a co-worker in common, Dr. Michelle Campagna. So hello, Dr. Campagna, if you're watching. Fun coincidence to run into people and have a connection. It is a small world.
It really is. I chose the right spot to
You did, yes.
hang out for 5 minutes.
Happenstance. So how are you enjoying the conference?
I'm loving it. It's my very first ASA conference since transitioning to the conduct world. And so far, so good. So far, very long.
Okay, what was your biggest takeaway from yesterday?
From yesterday, I think just diving into the session and just being able to really be in a space with a lot of like private students who are going through similar things. I think that the community is always like the biggest takeaway from me, and I'm happy that I've been able to tackle it so far.
I agree. It does seem like a really tight-knit community. Any surprises?
I'm surprised that it's like so easy going. I don't know what I was expecting. But I think that I come from like student activities and from like the NACA world, and so being able to see that this feels similar is nice, you know, because I honestly just didn't really know what to expect. But so far, it's been, you know, very similar to other experiences that I've had in the sense that it's very welcoming.
Nice. So we've been playing a game with some of our folks called Podcast Roulette, where we ask them to pick a number between 1 and 14 and ask a question. So are you game?
Yeah.
Okay, pick a number.
13, since it's Friday the 13th.
What were you like in college?
That's a good question. So in college, I feel like it's when I actually like really got out of my comfort zone. I went to the community college. I actually went to WCC as well.
Very nice.
And so for me, that's really when I started to adopt the philosophy of like, it's not about the school, it's about the scholar. I felt like there were like a lot of like stigmas with the community college, especially because it was like in my hometown. And so that's really when I had to look beyond of like, you know, it might not be where I wanted to be yet, but how could I use this as a starting point? And honestly, just with making that small shift that happened gradually, just based on who I was surrounding myself with, it just, I love where I work. I have a deep connection to my students and, you know, to their experiences. And I had my own lived experiences with WCC, but I would say just getting involved was a big piece. And yeah.
I love that you stayed in your community and you're at your community college. Do you feel like that stigma for community college still exists, or is it shifting out for you?
I definitely feel like it's, I think depending on the context, you know, depending on like, you know, who I'm around, you know, I guess, but I think overall there's a huge value in the community college. I think that even here at the conference, I'm seeing a representation. I'm seeing a lot of these conversations just naturally being tailored to the 4-year and the 2-year and just like all these different steps. But I think that this has been a gradual process. I remember going to an ed session. They talked about non-traditional students and just talking about how the community college students are the new traditional students. Like it's always been this way. It's just maybe not always been represented. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm happy to continue advocating for community colleges and just them being in these spaces. But I definitely think that there's a lot of work that can still continue to be done, especially as we look into degrees and what students want to get out of that today.
The mission of community college is resonating right now more than I think it has. I've been working in community colleges for over 10 years, and I think there was still a lot of stigma, even in the late 2000s. And now, with all the focus on workforce, living wage jobs, it's a nice time to be in a community college serving that population. So thank you for your work. It's amazing. Submissions for the last couple of days of the conference here.
Yeah. Just hope to keep making connections. I feel like I just made an extraordinary one today. So just thank you so much for bringing me on. And
I agree. What a joy, and fun to just randomly run into somebody that knows somebody that I work with. So that was fun.
Well, we wouldn't be us if we did not ask people about conduct fashion.
Of course.
One of my friends texted me I think he may have been watching our YouTube videos or listening, and he said we were giving a very distinct Johnny Weir, Tara Lipinski vibe to him.
And I have to ask you, did you finish The Traitors yet?
I did. There's so much. And I know I'm on the British version. We'll have to do a whole episode.
I agree.
Well, unfortunately, our microphones really did not like the fashion conversation. Very few of our listeners do the video version, but I've got some still photos of some of our folks with some quotes. But we have the amazing Samantha Colette coming for our next episode.
Cannot wait.
And she was a fashion major who transitioned into higher education and talked about using fashion as a way to connect. I think everyone talked about fashion as a way to connect, but just the importance of noticing one thing and making their day was her advice.
I love that, and I think about one of my first jobs out of grad school was at the University of Arizona, and I'm not going to claim that they were very fashion forward, but we were discouraged from wearing traditional business casual clothing because our director felt like it put a barrier between us and students. So we were allowed to wear shorts and polo shirts to work, which I loved. So not fashion necessarily, but I do think, you can become too stilted sometimes, depending on the way you dress, and it can impact your relationship with students.
I have a colleague, Greg Meyer, who I've learned so much from. I met him during COVID, during our community Zoom meetings, and he was wearing maybe a sweatshirt or something more casual, and somebody's like, oh, are you dreading when you have to go back to a suit and tie? And he said, I don't wear a suit and tie because I think it's an equity issue. And man, did that sink in. And maybe I was just looking for a reason to wear what I want to wear, but he was very intentional about that decision. We had a couple people, Logan Lasher, that we asked this question, and Dr. Tony Miller. We did recover some of his video, but they talked about not wanting to upstage a student and choosing their wardrobes really intentionally to let the student shine. But then Heather Gadney, we noticed her in the crowd and pulled her in because she was wearing such a fabulous kind of animal print sweater. Yep. And she talked about wearing things for confidence. And her quote was about on a big day that she wanted something very professional with a great accessory. And I thought that was a great quote. We captured Dr. John Wesley Lowry, who is an icon in our field, and it might have been the first time I ever noticed him not wearing a bow tie.
I remember you saying that. That is hilarious.
And at the very end, you'll hear Josh Cutchins, who works in ASCA headquarters. He actually just transitioned into his brand new job back in the field. He talked about his kids wanting to steal his doctoral TAM after he finished his EDD this year. So I'm going to launch that recording.
Are you incognito today? Because I was expecting the traditional bow tie.
I saved that for the
Teacher testing on the site.
Okay. You are always very fashionable. What's your fashion go-to for a big wearing or a big work day?
So, ironically, I have it on now. It's actually a corset, a shirt and tie with some slacks because I don't think it's not intimidating as a suit or a badge or anything like that. And it shows some school spirit as well, but it still gives you a professional tone. So, one day I would like to be able to upgrade where blazers and things of that nature. But this right here, it keeps me approaching.
So, like, since I just saw you in your cap and gown and your nice soft cap, you just finished your outfit.
I did, and my kids were very excited because they wanted to wear that hat.
It is funny because I think after my graduation, that became the most expensive Halloween costume in the house for a hot minute. So yeah.
Wow. Was it the educational part or the Harry Potter look?
I think it was just the opulence of it or the perceived opulence of it. You know, how many times a day do you get to wear a gown and a hat in the house? I mean, for me, it's almost never, but maybe you do things differently where you live. You just wear sequins.
When I'm all alone. We asked some folks for ideas for future podcast topics, and Dr. Cutchins weighed in, and our buddy Renasia Burrell had some ideas, and Paige Townley from Old Dominion. So let's listen to them.
If you were listening to a podcast about student conflict, what topic would you like to hear or topics? I would say innovative educational sanctioning on that, and because we know we have traditional, so we can use what are those words that we can bring and infuse into our toolbox, into our tool belt, and be able to help them. Like as I mentioned, we're meeting where they are, so having that innovativeness to break as an educational opportunity would be fantastic. So
I would love to hear more about like entry level professionals, just like how their transition is going from like entry level into mid, and what kind of support are they looking for? And just see like, okay, what is something that I also can relate to? I really like the case study type conversation, basically able to dig into what other people are experiencing and how have you navigated some of these more complex situations and supporting students. So yeah, it's been fun conversation. Get a couple people just to talk about a bit of person.
I like all three of those.
Yeah, I agree. This would be great topics to unpack.
Finally, we just collected some words of wisdom from folks on a variety of topics, and I'm just going to roll that and see what happens.
You are a model of finding ways to get full professional development experience. Can you talk about some of the things you've done to find funding for yourself to travel in? Yeah, largely for Gary, as an entry-level position in my office, it's always encouraged to go to Gary. So part of that was also applying for scholarships. And also previously I served as a presidential intern, so that also played a role in my commitment and showing my professional development. But even after that, last conference, I actually participated in a case study, and I actually won. So then I was able to attend this conference for free. So that was also really big. And after receiving a scholarship, I make sure I now put that tab forward. And so for the next person who wants to come also to the conference, they have the opportunity. I saw you fundraising yesterday to raise money so that I get scholarships. Yes, thank you for what you did. No problem.
That was pretty choppy. That was Renasia Burrell talking about how creatively she has been able to fund her own travel through competing in conference competitions, applying for scholarships to come, and I do think she is a great model of that.
I love the hustle and the creativity of fundraising because many schools, it's one of the first things to go is your professional development funding, but it's so vital.
And then she planted herself at the fundraising table that was near us during the conference to help generate scholarship funds so future people could benefit the way she had. The audio was just a wreck, but Dr. Courtney Allen, I posted a picture of her talking about how much she gives back to the organization, and she just is tireless with community service, and she calls it a no-brainer. And I wanted to make sure that didn't get lost just because the footage got lost.
you truly value the work that you do. It's more than a job description and a job. You carry this in your heart. And it's hard work. It really is hard work. So just know that you are appreciated.
That was Dr. Aaron Hart. He's the Vice President of Student Affairs at Virginia Commonwealth University, and he came to ASCA to support his staff, and I loved the shout out he gave to folks that are working in the field.
And he was one of our first interviews, and I believe he had some TV credentials too for an HBO TV show.
I totally forgot that, Kurt. We're going to have to Google
that
that.
up, and I wrote it down someplace. I'm going to have to see if I can find it. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a future episode.
Oh man. Wow.
We got a fun little highlight reel at the end here from our podcast roulette where we just asked people random conduct questions, and we'll close out here. Kurt, any final thoughts about the conference?
Just that I had an amazing time. I have not, as an adult, had a hotel-style sleepover party with anybody, so it was fun to hang out with you, and I'm glad I didn't get on your nerves or snore or anything.
We were pretty good roommates.
I agree.
I can't wait for next year. Here we come, 2027.
Woo!
And here we're going to roll out on some roulette. Thanks for listening, everybody. Give us a like, share with a friend, and we'll see you hopefully this year.
Bye.
Well, higher ed is a cult. Yes or no, and defend your answer.
It's hard to say no because once you get in, it's hard to get out unless you get very deep.
What were you like in college?
Over involved in everything, and so I joined like every organization possible. I'm sorry, I didn't want to say no. So when someone asked me, "Hey, do you want to do this? Can you help with this event? Can you come to this?" I was like, "Yes, of course." So that was kind of who I was in college.
What is the most unusual experience you've had in a conduct meeting?
What's the most fun sanction you've given this year?
Ooh, I had some students who threw some items into a bed of, or like a body of water next to our institution. So I actually made them do a presentation for me about water pollution.
Oh, what did you learn?
They loved it.
So you are now Dr. Josh, but at one point you were undergrad Josh. Can you tell us about undergrad Josh, and did you ever get in trouble?
So undergrad Josh, 20 years ago, was at the University of Florida. And no, I did not get in trouble. So put that out there. Did I make the best decisions? No. But did I get in trouble involved on campus with campus recreation and intramural officiating there, and that's where we got my leadership.
What's your favorite hype music when you got a big day or a big thing that you're getting ready for?
Wannabe by the Spice Girls. Yes. So I actually developed a whole playlist around that I use in order to just give people jazzed in the morning.
I love this interview. Can we do this all the time?
Misbehavior is written and produced by Colette Shaw and Kurt Doan. Theme music was written and performed by Kevin MacLeod from incompetech.com. You can contact Ms. Behavior at msbehaviorcollege@gmail.com. That's msbehaviorcollege@gmail.com.